And you guys, now was it just you or were you with Eric when I read in Brazil it was like this incredible crowd, not just around the block, but thousands.
Yeah, 40,000 people met me. That was really kind of earth-shattering because you're especially being grounded in Wyoming, you don't understand the power of television.
Mhm.
And even, to this day, I'm glad I didn't understand it because you see people, big stars today that do understand it. And I wish they didn't know that because they become
Mhm.
like pompous and have an opinion of everything. It's like, shut up.
I
And,
agree.
so I took my attorney and two stuntmen. I think I took two stuntmen also. Yeah, maybe three. And we all flew first class from LA to Brazil, and then we went to Rio de Janeiro. But when we landed in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and we got off the airplane, excuse me, we started to go into the airport building, customs and all that, and we see all these people. And I look at my transcript, was maybe the Brazilian dignitary on the plane, or are we supposed to wait over here or something, president or something? And now they are rushing up to these big glass windows in the airport, these huge windows, right? And they're banging on the windows, all these people, all in their Portuguese accent, right? Because they speak Portuguese. John, John, oh, John, John.
Oh
And the
my
windows go
gosh.
boom, boom, boom. We realize that window's going to break. So we don't have any security or anything. So we ran up the
Oh,
stairs and we went in this room. They locked the door in there so no one could get us, right? And some policemen helped us. And then we were up like on the roof or the top floor of the airport building. And then we walk out and they're all lined up down the highway, 40,000 people and
wow.
little kids all in little Chips uniforms.
Oh
And they're waving John, John, and I'm up there like the Pope waving to these
my gosh.
40,000 people, right? And it was quite an experience. And then every day I did a personal appearance, 1 to 3 personal appearances in Brazil and Rio de Janeiro. And they just loved Chips down there. It was great. And when we did do Comic Cons and stuff, we always have a family or two that came from Brazil. You remember me in Brazil when you came to São Paulo, and then I went to meet the police department and the first typical Latin people. Yeah, you ride the motorcycle? Yeah, well, why don't you get on ours and ride ours? Let's see if you can ride that.
And you were a good motorcycle
Yeah,
rider.
I
Yeah.
got on and rode it, gave him the finger. No.
Yeah.
No, we were good and they were happy and I was happy. We had a good time.
What does that feel like? I think that, people just take it for granted, but what did that feel like when you looked over the top of the building and you saw all those people? Like what goes through your body? What goes through your frame of mind when you're looking at that and you realize it's about you?
Yeah. I think initially it's shock, because uh, you're not supposed to get that kind of power. And it, it's almost godly, like, it's like, I'm not God. Don't put that on me, it's a responsibility. And I mean, it took, when we finally drove from the airport to the one of the hotels we were going to, it sank in to think that, wow, that's God's gift, just gave you that much adoration
Hmm.
from people that you better show responsible reciprocity in whatever way you can. Um, it's important that they believe that you care about them and that you love mankind, And when I go to these Comic Cons, I'll look in little boys' eyes and it makes me cry. They just see so much purity that isn't there, but they see it. And I always tell people, you tell somebody they're a flower long enough, they'll start becoming a flower.
Yeah.
Don't tell them they're a weed.
Right. Right.
Tell them they're a flower and help them become a flower. And pretty soon they'll think they're a flower.
Hmm.
And so I think that's what happened to me in some respects. Is
Wow.
I was kind of a weed,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know if I became a flower, but maybe a dandelion, but I got there.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
wow. That's pretty cool. So the other thing too is you did Chips 99, the reunion. I don't know exactly if that's the title, but you were executive producer on that.
Yes.
Was it that difficult wearing two hats, being executive producer and also being one of the stars?
No, because we were executive producers. We negotiated in our contract that way we would get a little extra fee, but we
Hmm.
didn't really do anything. Eric and I both got executive. We had favored nations. That was another story of favored nations. Remind me to tell you a favored nation story. I'll try to be succinct because I don't know what your
No, go
time's like.
ahead. I don't mind at all
Yeah,
there. I'm in no
you
rush.
you
Yeah.
can edit it out if you want. But
No, I want to hear about the favorite nations.
so in that case, we were just executive producers in name. But having said that, um, I had a favored nations in my contract before Eric did. He didn't know about it, and when he sued MGM and NBC, he got a new Rolls Royce, a new car, excuse me, and uh, and some money or something. And so they called me one day and said, "Hey, Eric's getting a new car. What do you want?" I said, "A new car? Yeah. Well, you have favored nations, so whatever he gets, you get." I said, "Oh yeah, my I remember my attorney and we negotiated that in there." Yeah, because we were worried that someone's going to try to do something behind our back.
And you were
And
right. Perfect.
yeah, yeah, I was right. And so I said, oh, I'll get a Ferrari. And they said, okay, we'll bring you a Ferrari next week. So then I said, what's Eric getting? And he's getting a Rolls Royce. I said, oh, how much is that? 125,000, I think it was then in those days. I think the Ferrari was 60,000 in those days, not now. And so I said, oh, well, I'll get the Rolls Royce too. They said, "Well, you already got the Ferrari." They didn't. They lucked out with me, dummies, getting the Ferrari, right? And I said, "No, no, I don't want that. I want the Rolls Royce." So he got a white Corniche convertible with red interior, of course, and I got a black one with cinnamon interior, black convertible with a cinnamon top, right?
Oh my
And
gosh.
and uh, and then I got my Wilcox Productions and some money to start my production company, and I made 6 deals in 6 weeks, right? Just bam, 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 because I'm a horse trader, right? I make deals,
Wow.
and so anyway, it was pretty cool. I drive to MGM Studios with my cowboy hat on and my top down, and all the prostitutes said, "Hey, cowboy."
Oh my gosh. By the way, getting back together on Chips 99, what was your favorite part of that? Like favorite memory of that experience?
Oh, well, I was so busy in business then, it became kind of an ancillary job, if you will.
Hmm.
Uh, I never felt like it was, I was happy that I was in it because I'd left the show, right? I
Yeah.
was no longer in the show. So in that respect, I felt a little comeuppance, if you will. Um, Probably a little vengeance that I received wrongly, but I'm being
Hmm.
candid, right?
Yeah.
And at that point in time. But it was fun. We had the new BMW motorcycles instead of the Kawasaki's, and the BMWs
Faster,
are
right?
faster, more powerful, really torquey because they're shaft driven, no chain.
Hmm.
And, you just do a wheelie really, really easy. And and I had my daughter Heidi come and work in some capacity. So that's always great. I did a movie with my son Derek in the last ride of the Dalton Gang where he played me as a little boy.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And on the weekends I go rodeo. I had my horses up there, my own horses and stuff. So we had fun. But uh but anyway, I think it was just the BMWs were really fun. The director was a good director, John Carr. Um, Eric's always teasing, and he's right. He said, "Well, all that time we employed the stunt coordinator on our show, and he went and did Miami Vice, and he never invited any of us to come and do the show. John Carr, we worked our butts off for him for that Chips Reunion '99 movie, and he never employed us once thereafter. And like, what are these guys, man? Doesn't anyone know how to show reciprocity?
Right, right, right.
They don't care.
They
Next.
don't. Welcome to the
Yeah,
business. I
yeah,
know. But I'm
yeah,
with him. I agree
yeah,
with him.
yeah,
They should hire you,
yeah. He's right.
you know. You had, taking going stepping away from Chips, I was blown away at all the people you worked with. I mean,
Yeah,
like big names. Anthony Quinn,
yeah,
Charlton Heston, Lee Marvin, Jack Palance,
yeah,
Farrah Fawcett. Can we talk a little about this? I mean, I was blown
yeah,
away. Well,
yeah.
I ended on Farrah Fawcett. Was this like her first job?
That was her first job. Yeah, and uh, you know, here we are filming this. By then, my popularity as an actor was growing, right?
Uh-huh.
And most of those things, well, not most, some of those things were way before Chips, right?
Hmm.
And I was starting to get directors who would just hire me. They say, you have to come in and read, but you're not reading for me. You got the part.
Hmm.
But out of politics, Larry, I got to bring you in like you're reading and make the
Yeah.
producers. But they're going to hire you because I'm going to say I want him, right?
Hmm.
And so that's a really nice transitional bridge in your career where you realize that you have talent because a lot of directors, by the way, don't know how to direct actors. They know how
Hmm.
to set the camera and all that stuff, but they get a little intimidated. And if you're a prima donna, a movie star type and start being mean to them, they're screwed because they don't know what they're going to do, right?
Yeah, agreed.
So if you prove that you have talent and that you'll do these Bibles on the character, I mean, I'd bring stuff to the director that he never even thought of, right, about a character. And I can tell you some of those stories, whether it's Dirty Dozen or The Last Hard Man, or each of those characters I created wasn't on the screen, wasn't on the screenplay. It was written another all-American guy. Oh, that's
Even,
boring.
wow,
So,
even the
so
Dirty
I,
Dozen.
yeah, like Dirty Dozen was none of that was in there. So I I wrote the care I'd rewrite my scenes and put it under the door of the director who loved me, Andy McLaughlin. God bless him, he passed away. Big man, 6'7". He'd always stand on your foot and then fart, so you couldn't move. But he was a good guy, a really nice guy. And Larry, will you do this part for me? And I did the open winter for him for Disney and all kinds of other stuff. But so I get there and I realize that here we are again. Yeah, this another screenplay not written that well. And Lee Marvin's in this thing, man. You better bring something, right?
Lee Marvin. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, really. And he was in the Marine Corps and I was in the Marine Corps, so we got along well.
That's a biggie. Yeah.
Yeah, and because he doesn't respect many people, it seems like, you have to win his respect. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it.
And so all that stuff I wrote myself and put under the door. And I had me playing baseball without any baseball and a shaved head. And he was kind of a dumb shit, and looking around and then throwing his baseball like he was a fast pitcher. It's all in his head, right?
It's
And
awesome though.
so, and then I had him, I wrote this scene. I said, hey, Andy, you gotta have him singing in this scene. He can't sing for shit, but have him singing, and he loves medals, so he's going to steal the medals off the dead Nazis and pin them on himself and get his chest all big. I'm so proud, right, of these medals.
That's a
He's
great character. I
he
love
says,
it.
he says, Larry, I can't do that. You can't rewrite this. You're gonna make me write Gone with the Wind. It's gonna be so long. No, it's just you can do it in 10 seconds. We can capture this moment, right? And these are moments that make the movie.
I agree with you.
And so
Yeah.
he had let me do it. And I'm pinning those medals on, and Lee Marvin's looking at me. Lee Marvin came up to me, Larry, where do you get all this shit? In there, I just at night I get my imagination gets going, and then when I did another movie called The Last Hard Men with James Coburn and
Oh,
Barbara
one of my
Hershey, and
favorites, by the way. I love James Coburn too.
yeah, he's a carry. He was bigger than life, and Charlton Heston, and So
Barbara
they,
Hershey. That's the one with
Barbara
Barbara
Hershey,
Hershey too,
beautiful
right?
Barbara Hershey
Yeah.
then, yeah. And she's a wild one. And she would come visit me all the time. And she was, she's, and so I created this little character. They wrote him again as a boring all-American guy, right? So I made him a real nerd. He wore a little black derby hat, and he kind of looked like that. He couldn't talk very well, right? And I have him always sucking on lollipops, and every time he's sucking on lollipops, he's staring at Barbara Hershey's character, right? And you can tell he's just a oily little
Right,
guy,
right,
right?
right.
And so it and the way he walked, James Coburn, where did you get that walk? How did you create that? So I don't know. I just had him walking like one of the old cartoon characters. And so, these things are what actors are supposed to bring to the movie.
Right.
And all those actors, we'd leave dailies, we'd go in to watch the reruns of our dailies, right, or the playing of
Yeah.
our dailies, and all those actors be very respectful to me and knew that, I brought a baseball game and a bat, so you better pay attention and do your stuff. So, okay. So that's how that went. I was trying to think what other people. Oh, and by the way, in that last Hardman with James Coburn and Charlton Heston and Barbara Hershey, the best actor, much better actor than myself, the most impressive actor that I ever worked with was Michael Parks.
Really?
Prob Yeah, and you may not even know him.
No. Then came Bronson.
Yes, he creates characters that are elegantly written.
Mm,
And it isn't written elegantly in the script, but it's very subtle, soft how it evolves from him and how by the end of the movie, I would go to dailies to study him.
mm,
Uh, and, he had an addiction problem, was his only, he would have been, I think, the big one. He was as good as not better than James Dean, I thought. I mean, he
Oh,
was,
I mean, that show, Then Came Bronson, seriously, it still sits in my head.
yeah.
Still. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. I think he passed away, but man, he was so great in that movie, The Last Hard Man.
Wow.
But
Was Coburn, so what was Coburn like off set? Like what?
oh, he was crazy, bigger than life. Just gesticulating all the time, right, and pontificating, and oh, he was like a minister, and his voice was so loud and had that stage carrying voice and
Yeah,
really
yeah.
booming voice, but he was a good guy and funny. He was into some Zen or something, is always some new thing. And he said that, he's talking to a young actor. He said, "Oh, you guys understand the 7 year thing, don't you?" And, no, what's the 7 year thing? Well, you can only have a wife for 7 years, then you should change because it's over after 7 years. No matter who they are, you got to find a new one.
Oh, jeez.
Okay,
Oh
James.
boy.
Yeah.
That's James Short. What about Barbara Hershey, by the way?
She was just a quiet, uh, beautiful sex kitten. She was just very pretty and um, subtle. She had all the talents, of a beautiful young lady. And
She had a strength about her, though.
yeah, she
Yeah.
was she was interesting. I thought she had a couple layers, if you will,
Hmm.
of interest, intrigue, I call it. But yeah, Farrah Fawcett was. So I started to tell you we were in this another director, Robert Day, who used to hire me just because he loved me and he knew he could depend on me no matter
Yeah.
what, right? So he would hire me and he said, "Hey, wait till you see your girlfriend in this movie." And I said, "Oh, okay." So who is it? Oh, have you ever seen the Ultra Bright commercials? That girl with the toothbrush, Ultra Bright. Oh yeah. He says, "That's your girlfriend. You're gonna die." Oh my God, she's so pretty. I
Wow.
says, "Okay, cool." And so I'm on the set. I play kind of a bus stop like character, a cowboy and from Texas and a hick, and didn't have to act much then.
This is the
And
Great American Beauty Show, right?
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
Great American Beauty Contest.
Contest. Yeah.
And
Sorry.
and so there's a bunch of big name actors in there. I don't remember who now, but there were some big names. And Farrah walked on the set. The entire Ohio State football team was there for the Rose Bowl. And the whole team's waiting for the ultra bright girl to come on the set. And she came on the set. They were like, staring at her.
Gosh.
And I was too, right? And so it was, man, talk about beauty. She was just stunning beauty in
Wow.
those days. But that
And
was her
super,
first
super nice,
movie.
I've heard too.
Yeah, she was really nice. I got along with her well. She was a Texas girl,
Hmm.
and she was she was a lady, really, really nice.
Oh, wow. The other one you had was Jack Palance. You talked about the Dalton gang, and that's what pops into my head because he's
Yeah,
just iconic, you know?
yeah, yeah. He was, he's kind of Jack. Sometimes I felt like he didn't act. That's just Jack. He was he he's a little askew, a little
Right.
oblique, and but he was an interesting character. You found yourself studying him. You weren't sure, is he listening to me? Is he going to kick my ass? So
Yeah, he always looked like he could kill you right
yeah,
then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But he was a good guy, really good actor. And then Dale Robertson, he was in that movie too. He was a good
Oh,
guy. He
yeah.
was the sheriff in there coming to get Palance, and I don't remember all the Randy Quaid. He was in it.
Oh, geez.
Crazy Randy. He was funny, man. But yeah, we had a good time on that. That was Dan Curtis directed that. I must have read for that 5, 10 times, and he finally chose me. I knew I was the right guy, but he didn't till I got him going.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, you did so much stuff. And then, we haven't even talked about the other side of this is the Ray Bradbury Theater. I mean, you had Peter O'Toole, that you hired, Jeff Goldblum, William
Drew
Shatner.
Barrymore.
What was
Yeah,
it?
William Shatner and Barrymore. Yeah, we had a bunch of good actors and actresses.
What was Peter O'Toole like for you? Like, because
Oh,
you're on the other side here. You're actually doing the hiring.
yeah, really great because when you're younger and you have that fire in your belly to excel in anything and everything you do.
Hmm.
I was kind of like a tiger that got out of jail, meaning I got out of Wyoming and then when I came to California, man, it was like, whoa, where have I been? This carnival's the best carnival I've ever seen in my
Yeah.
life. And you bet you're not in the game. You can't even speak the language. You need vocabulary. You need to do this. You need to learn this. And so I was just learning everything I could. I had a voracious appetite for life. And so when I studied Richard Rush as a director, I really liked his movie that he did called The Stuntman.
Oh,
And
I
and
remember that
yeah,
actually.
excuse me. And he talked a lot about all the stuff I used to like to intellectualize about is about illusion and reality and how you juxtapose illusion over reality and vice versa. And you can do it visually, you can do it auditorily, you can do it a combination of ways, right? You subliminally suggest with music. And I had to read all this stuff and wow, and that's what you need to do as an actor, and then you have this as a producer. And I had all these ideas, right? I was mentally masturbating for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I called Richard Russ. I said, hey, I'm producing the Ray Bradbury Theater, a television series for HBO. And man, I'd really like to get Peter O'Toole, but I hear he has a cocaine problem. So I want to make sure I don't have to deal with that.
Oh God.
And so he told me, no, no, he's better now and he's doing well. And so anyway, I hired Peter O'Toole and he came to the set and I got his background of what he really likes. I always said that actors should have done this. Like we'd meet actors and we didn't know anything about them. Why didn't I get their bios? I should have
Hmm.
read their bios so I love to learn about them, not me, right?
Yeah.
And same with director. So I knew everything about Peter O'Toole, and I think in those days he was studying anthropology or something. He really liked it. So I called the university in Montreal or maybe Toronto, and I found the professor, the head professor of that, and I bought some special books, and then I had them wrapped in this Egyptian paper that, would.
That's pretty damn cool.
And when he came, he got that stuff. I won his heart from then on, right? Because I went the extra mile.
Yeah.
And when he came on the set, here was this young guy and wearing his little tie and acting like a producer, right? From Wyoming, and and I would talk all that intellectual crap with him. What do you think about maybe we should symbolize with a metaphor here, an allegory there? And he'd look at me, right? And he's very articulate, and he'd say something very funny, But it was just great, man. And then when he would do a scene, I would just stare at. He could make a scene just by the movement of his eyes. He did some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Powerful guy. He was great. He was really special. And then what Star Trek is
William Shatner.
William Shatner. He was actually nice then to me. I've heard a lot of stories where he isn't today, but he's an older man. He's
Sure.
probably tired of it. But and I saw him a couple months ago, and he was nice to me again. And we had to discuss the word probability and what it meant to him versus me and statistical
Oh
analysis.
my
So
gosh.
we did that story, right? And these policemen were there, man, where did you learn all that shit? I don't know. I just one of those students of life.
That's pretty
But
crazy.
but he was good, and he said, I don't know about Bradbury. I said, hey, what do you mean? It's a award-winning show we're producing here, right? He said, yeah, but he writes some weird shit here. He says, I know he got bullied as a kid. That's what this stuff's all about. He's a bully. He got bullied. I'm like,
Wow.
okay, well, pretty famous writer all over the world, but
Yeah,
okay,
kind of huge.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was him, and Anthony Quinn, he big bravado guy, come bursting in and had his entourage with him, right? And okay, Tony, we're ready for the shot. And here's this is introduce Larry Wilcox, a new young actor. And, hey, kid, how you doing? He's like that. And then he would come back, and after we do our scenes, you're going to be a big star, kid. You're going to be a big star.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
okay.
Coming from
Uh,
Zorro the Greek, that's pretty
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Wow.
I
What,
think he's
people are going to ask me, I know they are about Lassie, and I
yeah,
didn't mean to like, you just have
yeah,
so much, and I could talk to you for another 4 hours, but
yeah.
I think we should probably talk a little bit about Lassie because people that are going to say, why don't you talk about that? First of all, Larry, how freaking lucky were you? You
Oh
know?
my gosh,
I
so
mean,
lucky. I
you
mean,
got that pretty quick.
yeah. I was here. I came to Beverly Hills because my buddy lived in Beverly Hills with his mom. Shitty little apartment, but I didn't know any better.
Yeah,
And then we were right down the street on Doheny from the Beverly Hills Music Academy. So I went there and studied music. And then I met this old lady there who was an acting coach. She says, "You look like Boy Next Door." And I'd say, "Yes, ma'am," and "No, ma'am, may I please be excused?" And I was use my English manners that I was taught well,
yeah.
and those helped me a lot. And so anyway, she said, "I want you to come to acting class." And I was thinking, oh, I'm a horse trader. She's gonna try to screw me out of my $30 a month or
Right,
something, right?
right.
But she let me study for free. She says, you are a natural at this. You do this." Then she got me an agent, the Gene Halliburton agency, which was Alan Ladd's agents, two old women.
You got to be
And
kidding me.
and then I thought, I got agents, and wow, I'm an actor, and I didn't know any plays or anything. And then I said, she says, you got to go on a reading for Lassie. And oh, cool. So I went to Desilu Studios, and man, I was looking in the studio, so cool. And I'd hear that Motorola in there where they're doing the editing. They'd run the film through,
Oh,
and,
that's
and,
cool.
and I go in and look, oh, can I watch you do this for a minute? I was just, someone said they met me in my early days as an actor. They never met a human being, let alone an actor, that wanted to learn everything in life. F-stop, what's the parallax of the camera? When do you see parallax? When you don't,
Wow.
And
Wow.
camera direction left to right. And remember when you switch the camera, it's right to left. So you got to reverse the, yeah, I had it all down. I'd had my 8 millimeter Bolex,
Oh my
and I was
gosh.
shooting Lassie when I was there, right, learning my camera direction really well. So later, like in Chips, I would correct the director all the time. No, no, you reverse direction there. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. Remember, you were going left or right. Now you're. So I got it down pretty well. And then hit Lassie, we had four Lassies,
How did
and
you get Lassie? How did you
I
even get
read
it?
for 300 actors read for this little part called Dale. I played Dale Mitchell, the lead. There were two leads, two stars, and I got one of them. And they just said they liked me, and I was so polite, and I was all American, and I was perfect for the role, and so polite, and so I saw, and you did a good reading, and I thought, well, it wasn't that hard. It was Lassie,
Wow.
and the directors used to say, sometimes we don't know when to say cut. I said, why? What's that mean? They said, you're so natural. It just doesn't ever sound like acting. So we're kind of just waiting. And it's just, it was really good,
That's
Larry. I said,
what a
thank you.
compliment.
Yeah. And so, the, I learned camera direction so well on that show. And then I started shooting my son in little films and stuff and editing on that little 8 millimeter
Hmm.
edit. So I learned how to glue them and stuff. And just had a great life. I flew in a little Learjet. Lassie would get on because he was a star, and then I would get on, right? And I always teased my brother I was housebroken. Lassie wasn't housebroken, but
Oh, funny.
and then I called my brother. I said, Randy, Rands. I said, guess what? He was still in Wyoming. I said, I'm a movie star, dude. I'm gonna be on a television show. You are? Yeah, I told you I was doing this acting thing and I got a television series. What is it? I says, Lassie. He says, you're not the star. The friggin' dog's the star. Come on. I said, well, okay, I'm the co-star, but I didn't even have a color TV then. I had to buy a color TV so I could watch myself. And then
Wow.
the first show, I think I didn't come on till like two-thirds in, and I was, dude, where am I? Did they edit me out? Only Lassie's on here. But it was fun. It was fun to do. We did. They really used me. They had me do all the stunts. I had jumped in rapids and rivers, and oh my God, and off railroad trains and into dirt, and rode horses falling off. And they said, hey, no one could do that unless you're a really good horseman. Yeah, I mean, you were like hanging off that horse like crazy, going full speed. Yeah, I know.
Did you ever get into a serious situation there?
Nope, never did. Oh yeah, I
Wow.
won. I was in the rapids once. They said, "Hey, we got all the grips and wetsuits down there, frogmen, and they have a rope tied down there, so
Yeah,
you
like
won't go
safety
through."
line.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you'll just catch that safety line because the falls are farther down there. Yeah, okay. Man, I went past them so fast. They,
Oh,
Larry, Larry. And now I have to swim, right? I have to swim.
whoa.
I'm swimming to the willows over on the side to pull myself out of the river, right? And I don't know if there were any falls down there. They're teasing me, but I was scared.
Yeah, I would be too. Rapids are
Yeah.
no joke. Yeah.
No, it was fast, really fast. I mean,
Wow.
it was just, there's no way those guys could have got me.
Yeah, right. Sounds like it. I
Yeah.
love I love your raw enthusiasm that I sense even when I meet you now, and I sense you had coming out as far as the business and like when you walked on the studio lot and what you would see and not just like the cameras but just to soak it in, I mean,
Yeah.
I get, I have you and I didn't, we talked a bit, but I have a background as an actor as well. And for me to walk on like the Paramount lot or the Universal lot, and you go through those gates and you think of everything that's happened here and all of that. I think it's awesome. Maybe that's what keeps you grounded, but I think
Yeah.
it's awesome that you soak that in.
Yeah. It's a high electric energy in those studios, for me when even to this day when I go there and it's amazing business. You look around all each of these studio buildings and all the equipment. And now at my age, one of the things that I wish I would have focused a little more on is the the virtuosity of each grip or electrician or cameraman or the lighting gaffer, those
Mhm,
guys are
mhm.
so smart because like now I do photography and all that stuff, but kind of amateur stuff for my wife's track team or whatever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
she's a
yeah, yeah.
coach. But man, you got to do day for night. You got to do night for day. You got to change the f-stops. You got a
Yeah.
21. That sun in the background, that sky. What are we gonna do? He's at a f6, and that's like 21. We got to get a bunch of scrims up and block that sun, and
Clock's
bam,
ticking.
bam, bam. Oh yeah,
Clock's ticking. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I wish I learned a lot. I mean, I have a lot of information in my brain, and on all facets, but I could have learned so much more that I wish I would have taken more advantage of because I didn't. I was too busy focusing on being an entrepreneur and getting businesses started.
Yeah. Well, listen, we should probably close because you've been so incredible. But just because everybody's going to go, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing now? Which I have a sense of, but why don't you tell your fans
Yeah.
what you're involved in today?
I'm a clinical psychiatrist. No.
That was good.
No.
That was
Yeah.
really good, by the way.
No, I invest in different companies. I'm in a company called UVC Science, and we make ultraviolet light, only company in the world that can magnify it or increase the radiance by 1,500%. That kind of increased radiance, if I put it on you, would give you a bloody nose for a year. So you can't put it on, you have to be covered. And but it does a combination of things. One, it kills COVID in seconds, and so any COVID in the air, we put them in an HVAC system, so all air ingress and egress of the air gets sanitized with our lights.
Wow. Wow.
So that's one thing we do. In addition to that, they they have now taken that technology and have a really interesting that I can't discuss in detail, but application for cancer.
Interesting.
And so they've done some trials and stuff and just magnificent.
Hmm.
So I'm involved I love technology. And, I study languages still. So I enjoy French and Spanish and the practice of my little grandson. We have contests in our Spanish with the Duolingo. And, and then I'm, I, I'm reluctant to say this, but I think in the next week or 2 weeks, I'll close the largest deal ever in my lifetime.
Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, if that happens, then I'll do two things. We'll buy a lot of technology that some of which I can't disclose, but I've uh, negotiated for uh, in hopes that this will close, contingent on it closing.
Sure.
And some really, really neat stuff, yeah, that'll change the world. And then number two is we'll build a really high-tech immersive studio in Florida, and then I'll probably have to move to Florida and do all of my business there. So the future will be film and technology. What am I doing now? Technology.
Hmm.
And I've just written two scripts, one a war movie that I'm really proud of, and when you write, you get too far in your own force. So I'm not sure, but my feeling is it's really good. But
Hmm.
I don't know if it is or not because I wrote it, right? So there's your conscience. So I say, don't say it's good. Who the hell how do you know it's good, right?
Right. You're in
And
that tunnel. Yeah,
yes,
I know.
and so that's one. And I wrote a Chips movie, and it's I got the rights from the California Highway Patrol to go forward, so I've
Wow.
accomplished that. And if with this funding, then I don't need anyone else's rights. I just fund it and do it myself, right? I fund all my own movies, as many as I want, based on this funding.
Wow.
So those two scripts are done. I've written my life story, uh, but I wrote it. It's 400 pages, and I said, "Who wants to read 400 pages? Some damn actor."
Yeah.
But my life has been so mercurial, it's been
Hmm.
so many ups and downs really highs and really tragic lows, you know.
Mhm.
And so I think it's an interesting story. So I had somebody do some review and put it in proper paragraph form and spacing and all that. And because I think I just downloaded my brain. And I'm a fast typer, so 400 pages is a lot of words, you know.
It is a lot of
And
words. It
and
is a
uh,
lot.
and so double space, so I'll have to cut out some chapters probably. But they always say don't edit it, let the editor
I
edit a
was just going to
publisher.
say that. I was just
Yeah,
going to say that. That's what I've heard as well.
yeah. So maybe and I have mixed opinions. I don't talk about, any of my personal life. Um, None of my children or any of my relationships, I don't talk about those because I think that's rude, of me to talk
Yeah,
about them.
sure,
And
sure.
it's selfish for me to give my opinion, my point of view, my myopia. So I just wrote about things that happened to me and my brothers and sister and my mom and, just tough stuff, coming up the hard way, not wallowing in my misery, but this is what happened,
No, I
And
understand. I didn't even bring it up, but I know about your sister,
yeah,
unfortunately, was murdered or
yeah, yeah. And so going through those things in life, and then here this kid ends up, and if I get this deal, it's like, wow, Larry, all those things, tribulations that you went through were meant to be.
hmm
Those honed you and they righted your compass because your compass was moving a little bit on north. North
hmm
is only north,
Yeah, yeah.
It's not a degree to the left, a degree
Right,
to the right.
right, right,
That's for the pathological liar.
right.
But anyway, it was good. So I'm grateful, and I have children and grandchildren, and I love them all, and that's what I'm here for. And I'm really only here for them. That's
I
it.
think it's great. I think it's
Yeah.
great, Larry. And by the way, having done a ton of we didn't even talk, I mean, to everybody out there, I talked about a lot with Larry. He has so many aspects. That book would be terrific because
Thank you.
you do have, I mean, I'm not just saying that because you're in the interview with me. You do have a very interesting life. And I think, if they can bring that into like, 320 pages, whatever,
Yeah.
I think you got it. So
Yeah.
I think you should do it. So
Thank you.
yeah, push forward.
Thank you. Yep.
Yeah.
Go forward, as I always say. Don't mark time. Go forward.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Larry, thank you so much for being on. I
Thank you,
love
John.
talking with you. It's been just great, great getting to know you, and I appreciate how open and honest you've been about everything too. It's just
Thank you.
wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and hope to see you again soon.
Oh, without a doubt, Larry. I do
All
too.
right.
All
All
right.
right.
I'll see you.
Adios. All right.
Adios.
Bye.
Well, thanks for listening, and definitely hit the subscription button. As well, hit the notification bell so that you'll know when my next episode is released. In addition, check out some of my other interviews if you haven't had a chance. Eric Roberts, Henry Winkler, Jerry Mathers from Leave It to Beaver. There's so many. Enjoy.